My name is Morgan Castle, and I'm going to be presenting an integration of literacy strategies, PD, in a webinar style. So, we can go ahead and get started by thinking about really how is literacy different from just reading? According to Frankel, reading is the process of constructing meaning from written texts. And that's something that we all, as educators, push our students to do construct meaning from what they've read. However, the difference with literacy is that literacy is the process of using this reading and writing and oral language to construct meaning, integrate and critique meaning through, and in my opinion, this is the crucial part, interaction and involvement with multimodal text in the context of socially situated practices. So, literacy is not happening in a bubble. It's not happening where students read a text, an article, a book, an excerpt, and just answer some comprehension questions. That's not what we're targeting with literacy. Literacy has to do with all these different elements. It's not just reading, it's also writing about reading. It's oral language, it's talking about reading. It is integrating and critiquing the meaning. What did the author mean here? Why did we include this? And it is in interaction with socially situated practices. So there's so much more interaction that occurs with literacy than reading. So I'm going to focus on the literacy strategy of a book talk. So, book talks, though I never knew they were termed that, is something that I think educators use really often, not just with books, but kind of engaging students with what they're going to be talking about. So, a book talk involves introducing the book and really showing students why is it compelling to read? Why should you be interested in this? But we don't want to reveal too much about the plot because then there won't be that cliffhanger. So it's going to include at least one passage from the book. You want to choose one that really has dynamic language or kind of a cliffhanger or and a really interesting character interaction or character description. And then you want to reel your patrons or your students in with a line like, if you want to know what happens next, you'll need to read the book. Now, to me, that sounded kind of cheesy. I'm not going to lie. So I was thinking more of how could we expand that? How could we get them interested without, just saying, if you want to know what happens next. So that's something for us to be thinking about as we go through these literacy strategies and include book talks. How can we make it, I don't know, a little bit more applicable to these young adults, these upper grades? So I wanted to show you an educator's perspective on using book talks. So Susan Gibb from Santiago Middle School in California really thinks that book talks are an effective way to advertise good books and that they're also easy. And this was my favorite part about her idea. She reads a couple of paragraphs aloud as part of Monday morning's announcements. I thought this was so cool, and she calls it Great Beginnings. And later on in my webinar, we're going to look at the first couple of paragraphs from The Maze Runner, and I think it would make an excellent, great beginning for a Monday morning announcement. And so this is a way to get students hooked without taking very much time. I thought this was so, so neat. So now we're going to move to tips from an expert, Joni Richards Bodart, excuse me, is an internationally known expert on book talking. Um, since 1977, excuse me, Bodart has written around 20 books on the subject of book talking. She's a teacher. She's taught at Emporia State University and the University of Denver. And then since 2006, she's been in the School of Library and Information Science at San Jose University, and she's in charge of youth curriculum. Um, so I feel like she's definitely an expert, and she's got lots of good stuff to tell us. So the first part she says when doing a book talk is that you want to choose an intriguing aspect to focus on. Maybe you want to focus on dystopian literature. A dystopian novel. Maybe you want to focus on characters going through some rough times. Maybe you want to focus on diverse characters. Another thing that you want to think about is that you want to choose a good book with good writing techniques that help hook the kids, but you also need to have a good writing technique that hooks the kids if you're going to be doing a book talk, maybe in addition to with a written example, in addition to verbal. You need to have excellent presentation skills to put the content across. You want to be, more than anything, engaging with your students. You don't want to be like Bueller, where students get bored. And then she says the most important element is the book talker's connection with an enthusiasm about the book. If you don't know about the book, you're not going to be connected nor enthusiastic. And I'm telling you, teenagers are super smart. They're so going to know that you haven't read it, you don't know about it, and you aren't actually excited. So why should they be? So make sure that these are books that you have read and know about and are excited about, because that excitement is going to transfer. Okay, so some more tips she said. When we're talking about the format and the length, you really want to vary the format and the length so kids don't get bored. So you can change the focus from character to plot to mood, be more lively with some, a little bit maybe more subdued with others if they're serious. But no matter what, you want to be dynamic. You want to be putting on that dog and pony show. You want to make sure to mention titles and authors, and also display covers as you talk about each book and mention the title and the author. Often students can say, well, I remember that the cover had this on it, or the author's last name might have been this, or a word in the title was this. And so that's connecting them to that book visually as you talk about it. In case they're interested, you want to involve a variety of titles. You want to have something for everyone. So if you are doing characters that are experiencing struggles, maybe that's part of your book talk. You don't want to do just boys having struggles or girls having struggles, or one ethnicity having struggles, or just struggles at school, or just struggles romantically. Incorporate all those. Find something for everybody. And then you want to try to visit individual classrooms, if you're able, twice per semester, which doesn't sound like that much, but if it's every single classroom, that's pretty crazy. You could maybe just focus on the English classrooms, because those are definitely going to get all the students in a certain grade, and that would limit that a little bit more. Or you can talk to several classes at once, around twice a month. I think this would be most conducive for my school, in terms of like ninth grade English classes. Have a day where we go down there and do a book talk, maybe once or twice a month. And this is all what you're going to be working with your teachers about too. And then, so Bodart continues with some tips in terms of choosing books to book talk. Okay, first thing you want to do, find something that's going to hook the group. Something crazy, something scary, something disgusting, something controversial, something that makes them say, "What?" You want to include relevant issues to the age group. Bodart